This is a busy time for India-US relationship. Much is happening, and of course the Prime Minister is likely to visit the United States in June. Who better to talk to but Ambassador Garcetti, who's with us today, 20 months after he was first nominated. Ambassador, thank you very much for talking to WION, and welcome to India.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Ambassador, what is the broad outlook for the India-US relationship in the next 4 to 5 years? As I said, the Prime Minister is also slated to be in America in June.
This is one of the strongest relationships in the world and one of the most important relationships, friendships in the world. It's natural, it's generational, it's deep, and I think that you'll see this year with the Prime Minister's visit and the President's visit here for G20, an even deepening of that relationship, not just between our leaders, but between our people. I think we have the ability to counterbalance the world and to do a lot of good together in the world, and for most Indians and Americans, we're just fond of each other. And this will be, I think, reflected in the substantive work that we do, as well as the spirit of the work we do too.
Well, there are also some talks about the NATO Plus, India joining the NATO Plus. Does that also mean that India will be getting F-16s? Can you throw some more light on this?
You know, we have deepened our defense cooperation, unimaginable 30 years ago, 40 years ago, leaning in further with India than sometimes we have with some of our closest allies, co-production, being able to sell important systems to make sure that India is safe. So I think anything is on the table. It's really up to India to decide what makes best sense for India. But I know for one thing, whether it's the Quad or now the Indo-Pacific, we are linked together. The eastern edge is the United States. The western edge is here in India, of a common region where we want freedoms respected, we want to make sure that we are safe, and that peace, prosperity, our planet, and our people are all promoted.
Right. Well, you talked about the Indo-Pacific. Now, when we talk about China, what are the areas of convergence and difference between the relationship that India has and the US has with China?
You know, first of all, our relationship is not defined by any third country, but where the strength of our friendship can talk about things, whether it's China policy or Indo-Pacific more broadly, I think we're aligned across the board. We want to have freedom of navigation in the seas. We want to have open trade. We want supply chains that are diverse and not dependent on any one place. So, you know, our strategy has been to de-risk. In moments of need, we've been there for the Indian defense infrastructure to help make sure that borders are respected, that sovereignty is maintained. And vice versa, we see Indians now, more exercises, for instance, militarily, are done with the United States than any other country in the world for the Indian military. So this is deep. It's not about a third country, it's really about our friendship, but where we need to be aligned, we are aligned across the board.
Right. When you talk about the IPF framework, recently it was decided to, diversify the supply chains and reduce dependence on China. What is India and the US thinking in terms of trade? One official recently said that they're thinking big. Does that include FTA, bringing back the GSP?
I think it's everything. I think it's looking at supply chains, it's looking at labor, it's looking at the way we can train, having a workforce that could come from India into the United States and vice versa, investments. I think if you see something like an iPhone, which is now being manufactured here in India, an American company that's brought a global supply chain here, it's a great example. When India gets it right and the United States gets it right, we can help each other, but also help the world. And it's not just about de-risking, it's also about doing good. When we saw, for instance, during the pandemic, Indian pharmaceutical, whether it was syringes that were going to Africa, the work that we did together on vaccines, we know that in crisis and in opportunity, if our economies are tied more closely together, we can do more. So I would say those discussions, which our Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, who visited here, is launching, really is saying the sky's the limit, but instead of a trade agreement, let's have a trade framework so that we can put all of those things together.
One final question. You met Shah Rukh Khan in Bombay. How was that experience? You spoke fondly about Shah Rukh Khan.
It was so exciting. I mean, I come from Hollywood, and he's the king of Bollywood. He's investing in Los Angeles in a cricket team. We hit it off immediately. Two guys who I think see the world in the same way, but also somebody who's been not just a symbol to India, but a symbol to the world. And I hope that we can bridge Hollywood and Bollywood, Hollywood and Tollywood, and see that these two great cultural icons, these two great cultural countries, can do so much together. So I can't wait to welcome him in the United States soon.
Ambassador Garcetti, thank you very much for talking to WION, and all the best for your tenure here and to many more conversations with you.
I look forward to them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.